So, my name is Jim. I work for Kidwell. So we do your phones and some other stuff for you guys, but I'm the phone guy. All right. So we're doing a little phone training this morning because tonight at 5:30-ish, we're going to actually upgrade your phone system to the new software, the new platform is what we call it. And it's got a fairly significant change to the way the desktop client looks. Okay. So what we wanted to do is kind of give you a brief little training session on what some of the differences are, how it looks, that kind of fun stuff. The phones themselves do not change. I mean, the operation of the actual phone really doesn't change. There's a few little things that change on it. I don't know if you've ever noticed on the phone there's a button that says mode on it. Does that sound familiar? They actually changed that name. It's now called a call state now instead of a call mode. All right? And there's actually 6 of them now instead of 5. Okay? And so that on the phone you'll see it say state instead of mode. All right? And then I don't know if you've ever seen the option to do what's called a join. So if you're on a couple of calls, a button would show up on the phone that said join. Does that sound familiar to you? It now says merge. And it's actually called Mitel Connect now. Quick little history. Mitel is a phone manufacturer that's been around a long, long time. They bought ShoreTel a couple of years ago. Okay? So all the rebranding they're doing, any new phone you would get now would actually say Mitel on it instead of ShoreTel. It's the same phone. It still does the same stuff, but it says Mitel now. So it says Mitel on your client. So you're going to get an icon that looks like this posted out on your desktop, Mitel Connect. So when you open it up, it's going to bring this login screen up. All right? So if we do our job properly tomorrow morning, when you open this up, it wants to know your username and your password, where if you actually click here where it says Show Advanced, you should be able to use this box that says Use Windows Credentials. So if you click on that, it will use the same login that your PC uses. Okay? You'll also want to check this box that says Remember Me. Okay? So you don't have to ever do this again. All right? And then it's going to ask you for the ShoreTel server, or the phone server. So is there a name out there that you guys have for your ShoreTel server?
ShoreTel.
ShoreTel, okay? So if you just type in the name ShoreTel there, SHORETEL, just like you see on your phone, and then click Log In, okay? It should log you in, all right? And this is what it looks like. There's a few things that the old one does that the new one will not. The biggest one is, at least the one that I found, is you cannot dock this on your computer screen. Now I did find a little kind of workaround for it. That I was actually doing another training class, and a guy showed me this. Is, you know, there's a Windows button on your keyboard. If you press that, and I'm going to hit the left arrow, it will actually put it over on the side of the screen. It's not really docking it, because it will still get covered up, but it kind of places it over on the left-hand side of the screen. So on your current one, you have all those tabs down at the bottom, right? Your voicemail, all that stuff. Well, they're still accessing those things. They just put them over here on the side, okay? So on your old one, you had a voicemail tab. Here it is on your new one, right? Here's my voicemails, okay? So if I want to play this, I can just double click it. It will start playing the message back just like it did before. If I single click it, you'll see it opens up another pane over here with some more information, right? And now I have a play button, I have a forward, I have a save, I have a delete, just like you saw before, okay? So, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay? If I hit the play button, it's going to play back through my phone, just like it always has, all right? Does that make sense? Okay? So, if I click on the number, it would actually call that number back for me. All right? So, but this is just telling me who's called, date, time, all that kind of fun stuff. Now, on the old one, you used to have like 3 folders underneath it. You had an inbox, a save box, and a deleted, right? We don't really see that anymore. It's all really under one view here. You see this little icon right here? I don't know if you can see where my mouse is at. All that means is that I click saved on that message. I wouldn't have had to do that, but I did. I don't know, it saves it automatically anyway. It's not going to delete a message unless you delete it, okay? But if I do delete a message like this one, it then creates a deleted folder down below here, and now I can click on this and go and restore it, right, and all that. So the same rules apply to this that it did before, so I don't know if you do. If you deleted a voicemail, we have a thing every night that cleans out the deleted folders. It still does that. Now, did any of you guys have part of a work group and get work group voicemails? Does that sound familiar to anybody? No? Because in your voicemail tab, you would have had your personal voicemails and then any group messages would have been.
Yeah.
They said, so there was 2 different ones. Well, now, when you click voicemail, this is only showing your personal stuff, okay? If you're part of the work group mailbox, you'll actually click over here where it says work groups, and then you click up here where it says voicemails, and then all the work group voicemails are listed over here. Okay? So it is in 2 different locations. This is also how you log yourself in and out of a work group if you guys were doing
I think we were just always in.
that. You're just always in?
Yeah, or
So-
being able to see it. I
Yeah.
guess.
So, but the work group stuff is actually under work group. If I click on queues here, this will list, of course, this shows me if there's any calls, how many calls are waiting out there, all that kind of stuff. Does that sound familiar to you? They called it queue monitor before. You may not have used it, but it was there.
Yeah.
Okay? So this shows me how many calls are waiting, how long the longest call's been waiting. And this is how long the longest active call's been out there. So if you're part of a group, you can see that, okay? Supervisors actually get to see who's logged into the group, okay? So if you have the supervisor or operator functionality, you can actually see who's logged into the group, okay? But that's all done under work groups, is what it's talking about now. Does that make sense?
If you log out when you're on vacation, so you're round robin, doesn't get stuck on your line.
We turn our phone off, so it doesn't look to us.
Yeah, we just don't. So like at night, we turn everything off, and then we'll just go into customer care for voicemails.
Yeah, that does it on the schedule.
Right.
Yeah, those won't change.
So if like you're out for the day and you log out, then it takes your phone out of the queue, like when the calls rotate
Yes,
around.
yeah.
So that's where you're gonna do that. So if you're gonna log out of the queue, this is where you're gonna do it, okay?
Okay.
So you used to have a toolbar across the
Yeah,
top for
okay.
logging in and logging out. Now you go to work group and you do it here.
But you guys would log out like at the end of your day if they're then.
They're talking your phone, they probably set it in a different mode, right? Out of office, that's different.
Yeah, they're not.
That's different,
So
so.
the work group, when it goes to the showroom, it just rings all their phones.
Right, so on your phone, if you wanted to change it, you'd hit mode and select whatever mode you're gonna be. Remember, that's gonna change to state. On the new one, it's gonna say call state. But if I wanted to do that same thing for my client, you see right here, this is my name. It says I'm available right now. This is where I could change what mode my phone is in, okay? So remember I told you they changed, there's 6 of them now. They've actually changed a couple of the names. You used to say standard, in a meeting, out of office, extended absence, and custom, right? Well, now it's available instead of standard. You're considered available now. It still has an in a meeting, it has an out of office. They changed the extended absence, it now says on vacation instead of extended absence. You still have one that says custom, and then they added one that just simply says do not disturb, okay? So, but any greetings or messages that you have on your current one will still be there, so you won't have to redo any of that stuff. Okay? But remember, they added one, right? This one here. So, all right? But that's how I can change my call state from my client. On your old desktop client, you had a tab that said history. Does that sound familiar? Now they call it recent, right? You can't keep things the same, we gotta change it. So it's recent now, okay? Hey, here's Lumberman's, right? So I wanna call this number back, I just click on it, it calls the number, okay? The other thing that they've kind of added here, you see the number 2 beside some of these numbers? Well, if I just single click this number, it actually over in this new right-hand pane, it lists all of my recent calls to that particular number. So this happens to be an internal person right here. This is my friend Rebecca. You guys use the instant messaging feature?
Sometimes.
Okay, so if I click on messages over here, it'll actually list all of my recent instant messages to Rebecca. Okay. Here's my calls, right? Here's my info about Rebecca. So they've added this tab over here. It's called events. This may or may not work for you guys when we first do this, but this actually allows us to allows you to see your Outlook calendar or your Outlook events right here from this client. Okay. So if this doesn't work right out of the box, Jeff, we can make this work. So basically, when you click on this, it's going to ask you for your Outlook credentials for the first time. Once you do that, then it can actually bring up your Outlook calendar. So on the old system, you had a tab that said directory, which kind of listed all of your users. They don't really have that tab anymore, but if you click here where it says name or number, this actually opens the directory up. Okay, and then you can just start typing the name and searching the directory. All right? So, I don't know if I have Jeff in my directory yet. Well, there's a lot of Jeffs there, right? So here he is. Wow, I do. All right? So I have his number, I can click on it and it would call him. Okay? Now this, for me, this Jeff is because it came out of my Outlook. Some of these other ones here, like anybody that you see that has the what we call the presence down here, that's an internal user. That's somebody that has a phone on my phone system. So I can see if they're on the phone or not. Okay? So, and then you just click on the number, all right? If I single click on a user, you'll notice that over here in the pane, it gives me more information. I haven't been obviously in instant messaging Jeff, haven't been calling him a whole lot, all right? But anything that I've done, let's see, here's Jeff, here's a call that I recently called him on 5/28, right? So the other thing I want to show you is contacts. You guys use the contacts tab where you have people in your contacts. All that stuff should migrate over, okay? So when I click on contacts, these are all the people that I have listed as a contact, all right? So if you want to add someone as a contact, you can click on this plus sign here. The other thing you can do is if I want to add someone as what we call our favorites right here, if I just click on the directory, I don't know if you can see, there's actually these little blue stars next to it. If I want to add this person into my favorites, I just click on that star and now it becomes part of my favorites list. Okay? So that's all you need to do. You can also create groups underneath here. So these are all the groups that I have created for myself. All right? It's pretty simple. If you want to add a group, you just click on the plus and say add group. Let's call this my FSP group, right? And then I come down here to group members. If I just start typing a name, I can search the directory to add someone into that group, right? I'll add Jeff Funk into my group, right? And then once I have all my members in there, if I click create, then of course you see it created an FSP group with Jeff Funk in it.
So the contacts right now, where they kind of do that, where I have them under certain departments, will that go be in there, or what have to do?
I believe it will. I believe it will. Now, there are a couple of rules that they recommend. You don't want to have a group named favorites, okay? Because that's a conflict here. And you don't want a group named contacts, okay? So if you have one of those, you need to rename those groups, all right? Because if they don't, those numbers will stay there. They actually are in their directory, but you cannot modify them. You can't delete them. The only way to get rid of them would be to delete the entire user and recreate them. So that's one thing that they need to do. So those are the three gotchas as far as, if they're using the speed dial tab, they get rid of that and get rid of the numbers. And then make sure they don't have a group labeled favorites or contacts, okay? So
get rid of the speed dial today?
yes. Yeah, before the migration. So, once again, this is actually, you could change the view on this. This is what I call the compact view. This is what's called this. Why are you not changing? I lose my connection. This is okay. There we go. So this gives me a little bit more detail about it, but it uses up a lot more real estate when you're doing it that way. So I always like to put it in the compact view. All right. So I'm going to make a call here. I'm going to call, let's see if we're back to answer these. So I just double click it just like I did before. Come on. Hello, how are you? Good, hold on just a second for me, okay? So here's here's your active calls that get listed over here. They used to get listed in underneath your toolbars. Well, now they're listed over here on the left, okay? You'll see I have a hold button right here. I have a hang up button. If I just single click the call, it'll bring up some more information over here. I can do add a participant, which is conference. I can do a transfer from here. This is stuff you might have done before. But on the new client, this new desktop, it used to be this was only available to the operator. Rebecca, I'm going to transfer you, okay? I'm going to send you over to, let's see if Mark is. Oh, no, he's not on the phone. So here's my group view. I'm going to transfer this call to Mark. I can just grab it and drag it over there, and it will transfer that call.
Ooh.
Right click and transfer.
Right click and drag. There is no left click and drag anymore. If you were used to doing that on the operator, it doesn't do that anymore. Okay? But everybody gets that now.
Ooh. Can
Okay?
you join them now?
Well, I transferred it, so it's gone. It's off of my plate right now. Okay? So, I'm going to do this again because I need to show you. Do you guys use the operator? Are you guys operators? Okay. Do a test with you again, so hold on for me, all right? So I showed you how to take the call and drag it to a user. Now what the operator gets that the other users don't is they can actually grab the user and drag it to the call.
What? That's great. I like that.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
So the other thing that you can do is if I drag it and hold it, it will actually bring up all of these options for you.
Okay, cool.
So you can do a blind transfer, which is a send and forget. You can do a consultative transfer. You can do a to their mailbox from here. I can do a conference, so I can do all that stuff, okay? So, but if I just click line transfer, now you'll notice Mark's phone's ringing now because I just transferred that call to Mark.
The left click or right?
Everything's on the left click now. There is no right
I
click
said it
anymore.
wrong.
Yeah.
Left click, I thought it was-
Sorry,
If you did, I told you wrong. It's, everything's done with the left mouse. Yep.
So if you wanna put somebody on, so I get a call, I wanna put them on hold.
Yep.
So I can call somebody and say, hey, are you available?
Yep.
Where's the button where I put them back on hold? When you had that call open, was there?
It looks like a pause button if you ever
And
know.
it's right when you open up the call, it's
Yeah,
on
when
there,
it's,
okay.
yeah, when it's over here, it looks like, I don't even know what they call it, 2 dashes next to it.
Okay,
As they call it the pause button, right?
Pause button.
Pause. And if you put your mouse over it, it says hold.
okay. And so I would just click that.
Click that and
Then I
then
can
you
click, anybody
Click.
else's name and say, hey,
You
can
bet.
you take a call?
You bet.
Okay.
Then you can just
Yeah,
drag,
just
then
drag
you
it
can
over.
drag them over. Yep.
Like, I wanna drag you over my screen. Huh?
All the other people can take the call, everybody can do the drag and drop the call to the user, but only the operator can do it the other directions.
So that's different from work group supervisor and work group agent?
I don't know.
Yes, it's only operator. I don't know if you had these things available to you before, but if I right click, so I see Mike right here, his icon has changed, right? It's not green. Now if I put my mouse over it, it just tells me that he's in a meeting. Well, if I right click this, did you ever know you could do this? Alert when available?
Mm-hmm. I have seen that.
So if you click on that, what it will do is when his phone becomes available, I'll get a pop-up on my screen that says his phone is available. Okay? So the other thing I can do is send him an instant message from right here, right? Now, do you notice the difference between this icon with the circle around it and this icon that doesn't have a circle around on it? The difference is the little circle here means their phone's available, the circle means that their instant messaging is available. Okay? So that way you can tell if they have their if they have their client up or if their IM is even available for you. Because before you could just send them an IM whether it said they were available or not, right? And you can still send them an instant message, and as soon as their instant messaging comes available, they would get it. But this way I know whether their desktop client's up and running. Okay. So the other thing that this software, I'm going to show you, has this tendency to do is when you're not using it, it will collapse back into this view. Okay? So, what they have done is they've actually allowed, you see this little pin button right here? So if I want to see my contacts window all the time, I can pin this, and then that is supposed to keep this window pinned and open, right? I use the word supposed to. Because sometimes it has a mind of its own and it just, oh, I'm going to collapse because you're not using me. Or when I click on recent, right, you'll notice it changed, right? Well, this is not a pinned window, right? Because I can only pin one of them. All right? So this is usually the way I have it. And if you're a work group, you may have to do this, right? I can still bring my contacts up and see all this stuff over here, but you'll just have to find what works best for you. But you will probably have to open Windows more than you would like to. There are some pretty decent YouTube videos out there for this stuff. If you just search by Mitel Connect or My Voice Connect, they were made. A lot of them are made by other dealers and partners who have gone out like me and seen the stuff that people like. If you search by Mitel Connect, you'll get the right stuff. So the user's guide is actually built in. If you click up here where it says Connect, click on User's Guides. It'll actually take you out to Mitel's website where you can go and download a PDF document, which I think is kind of nice. And you kind of were able to do this before, but it wasn't quite so easy. But if I click on this little guy right here, this shows me my group members. I can start a chat with everybody in the group.
Oh.
Ooh.
I can send them all a voicemail all at the same time. Okay? or I can schedule a meeting and have it send it to this group. So it allows you, when you have them in groups like that, it allows you to do some